What's popping? This Mellow back at you with another video, and we doing requests because I'm gonna do a lot of talking. I'm gonna be talking, so yeah. So I got a request because I put out a post asking what y'all want me to talk about and stuff. If you got a topic you want me to touch on, put it in the comments. We'll see if I could do it. But the commenter says, and I could put names on the screen. I don't know how people feel about that, but I was like, this stuff be up forever, so I don't know how cats feel. But this is what he wants me to talk about. I'm gonna read it verbatim. When you sometimes feel like to just quit music and depression of music production and mental health, why beginners should keep making when they compare themselves to producers who have years of experience and they feel like they can never make beats like them. I think it can be helpful for beginners. Also, I'm a beginner, 6 months into music production. So we are going to talk about some of these things. We're not going to talk about all of them in detail, but I'm going to give you some insight as far as my perspective as somebody who's been doing this for 1,000 years. So the first place we have to start is at the foundation. You have to sit down with yourself. If you are contemplating quitting, and you have to get in touch with why you make beats. You have to remember what made you start making beats in the first place, and right now, why are you making beats? You have to answer that. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Buddy's answer. I might even ask while I'm making the video. But I wanted to find out what other people's answers were, so I went to Reddit and looked at a thread of why people make beats. A lot of people make beats out of necessity because they were rappers or they wanted to rap and they didn't want to pay for beats, or they just wanted to make their own beats and things like that. That plays somewhat a part in my story to some degree. Some people look at it as self-expression. It is something that they like to do. Some people do it for fun and happiness. Me, myself, yes, I used to rap. So I was definitely trying to get to a point where people could rap over my beats. It took some years, actually. I was doing this when I was a kid. So that was a part of the reason. But the real reason, as far as why I got into it, is the same reason that I still do it. Because I am a creator. I really like to create. I could go really in depth about myself, but I'll spare y'all today. Just know I like to do a lot of artistic things, and this is in alignment with that. Now, one of the things that I didn't see not one person say is that they got into making beats so that they could have a hustle and have something to sell. But that is where a lot of us end up. So outside of that, or that they wanted to make hit records or anything like that, I didn't see one person say either one of those things. But those do become aspirations once you get into this and you figure, you're some type of good, et cetera, et cetera. But when you look at everything that was actually mentioned, let's just go down the list. What would compel you to want to quit something to where you were expressing yourself? What would compel you to want to quit something that you find fun and engaging? What would compel you to want to quit something that is a creative hobby? I can't see any motive to where you would want to quit something that fits in those boxes. But when you get into making beats for something like I rap and I don't want to pay for beats, so I want to rap over my own beats, or I rap and, people don't make the type of beats that I want. I just want to make, the type of beats that I want to rap on, or whatever the case may be. At that point, the foundation of why you are doing this is attached to an expectation. If you were just creating is an expectation. You can create. You succeeded. But if you were doing this for you or your homeboy that raps or anything like that, and the beats are not hitting, you can get upset when you don't meet those expectations. We'll talk about that in a moment, but I just want you to know this should be fun to a high degree. It should be fun. It shouldn't be super serious or anything like that, especially 6 months in. You should be really enjoying the process of making beats. You should be in the present moment. Sometimes you should sit down without any expectations and create freely. But other times you should just be a student. You should sit down, you should learn and apply just the small concepts that you've learned over and over a few times, just so you could get them and make sure that you got it down. Quitting making beats has never crossed my mind, but quitting some other things that are related to making beats definitely crossed my mind. And I definitely quit those things. And we're going to talk about those a little bit later. But ask yourself why you make beats. And if it's not in alignment with enjoyment and things of that nature, just exploring or whatever the case may be, then you may have a problem. You may actually have to find ways to have fun with this. And you could do that through putting on a timer and making a beat in 10 minutes and things like that, trying to recreate other people's beats, whatever the case may be. You find the things through exploring and seeing other people do things all over YouTube as far as, how you can have fun with making beats. They got something to where cats is speed running beats now on TikTok and all over YouTube. So those types of things, if they intrigue you and you learn how to do them, they could definitely help you. And when we get past that, I do understand the need to want to make good beats, to make good sounding beats, to make beats that you like. I understand that completely. Trust me, I even understand trying to get to the point of making beats that other people like. I understand that completely as far as having these expectations. But the thing I have to let you know is when you talk about mental health and depression and wanting to quit and things of that nature, that is the source of you wanting to quit. That's the source of the depression and everything else. And what it is, it's not that you have expectations, it's that your expectations are too high. When you hear producers' beats and they are way better than you, and they are way more experienced, and they've been doing this for years and stuff like that, you should say to yourself, wow, how did he do that? I hope I could be like that one day. That's dope. Maybe I should try and figure out how he's doing what he's doing. The place that you shouldn't go mentally, it shouldn't send you to a place where you say, wow, I'll never be able to make beats like that. His beats are so good and my beats are so trash. I could never achieve such a high level of skill. You have to be able to do two things. Number one, you have to be able to admire other producers while being curious about how they got, the sound that they got and stuff like that. And you might even want to study it. But the other thing that you have to do is not be hard on yourself. Bruh, I've been doing this 1,000. Every single person that you know, every single person that produces makes fucking whack beats from time to time. It doesn't matter who we are talking about. If you look at any producer or beat maker and they have made 100 beats in a year or more, I guarantee you there are some beats that they 1,000% that they are like, that's not it. That's trash. I'm not showing that to nobody. I guarantee you the only way a producer doesn't end up in that place is if they're making mechanical shit, meaning they're making the same beat through a formula over and over and over again and getting the same result. If they're actually being creative, which most people are that make beats, you're not going to end up in the same place every single time. And you're going to have things that are like, wow, this is really fucking fire. And then you're going to have shit where you're like, oh man, this is really trash. So you might hear certain people, but none of these cats that you see is batting 1,000. I guarantee you that. I don't care what producer you look up to. None of them are batting 1,000. Now you may look at that and you may say, well, I'm batting at 0. This is the thing. Let me tell you something as far as when I started making beats. I'll give you 2 quick stories. I'm not going to get into details. I'll be brief. When I first started making beats, I was a child, but I was kind of delusional. I thought my shit was hot. It was really garbage. I was going to rap over one of my beats. Funny, I'll even tell you, I was naming it The Rapper Killer, because these rappers be so whack. And man, I pitched that shit to my brother. My brother laughed. He laughed. And I'm thinking he laughing because I'm saying like, all these rappers is whack and I'm going to kill him. Man, he said, he looked at me in the eyes and he said, Mello, I got to tell you, bro, I love you. Do not rap on this shit. This shit is trash. He didn't say those exact words, but he basically let me know this is not it. So I was in a group. Nobody rapped on my shit, et cetera, et cetera. But again, this is fun to me. So I kept making beats. I kept making beats. I kept making beats. I kept making beats. And I finally got to a point where cats, the people I was around, they didn't want to rap on my shit. It was so many times I pitched beats at them. And I'm talking about it took me 2 years, over 2 years probably, Like close to 3 years, 2.5, whatever the case was. It took me 2 years to get good enough for anybody that wasn't me to want to rap on my beats. I'm going to tell you the difference. The difference between me and you and then and now is I was doing this in the early 2000s when everybody was gatekeeping. Nobody would give you no game. So I had to figure this shit out literally on my own with 0% guidance. Nobody on, man, I was on rap forums. Them niggas wasn't giving no game, man. So I really had to learn the foundation of my skills just through sheer willpower, bruh. I got all these chord tutorials and stuff like that, bruh. I didn't discover chords. I was making beats early 2000s, bruh. About close to 10 years in, I discovered chords. And I was in band and had piano classes. So letting you know that you have way more resources right now than I had. And the learning curve, more than likely, is not going to be 2 years for you to get to a point where you sound at least decent enough, just decent enough for somebody to consider rapping on one of your beats, or for you to look at a beat and say, okay, I done made some fire right here. Just at least one beat. Now, this next story is a very brief story. I may tell it in more detail another day. But boom, this is like 5-6 years later, right? Probably longer than that. I'm making beats for my group now, and I'm making beats for other rappers, right? We got a new album. We dropped it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm in high school. I'm playing this shit. I'm telling my dude, like one of the cats I go to school with, like, yo, man, I got this new record, bro. This shit is so fire. You need to cop this shit, bro. Long story short, we go to his car, put this shit in, man. He looked disappointed, bro. And once we got finished, he said, I'm not buying it. I'm like, damn, bro, you wasn't feeling it? He was like, bro, y'all rap good. The beats is cool, but it don't bang. Y'all shit don't bang. I need some shit. If y'all gonna sell me some shit, like, I need some shit that's gonna bang and it's gonna fuck up my trunk and da-da-da. That feedback changed how I made beats. This is pre-808, running everything, spins 808. This is before all of that shit. Man, I'm putting sub basses. They used to have a Landstar sub bass and shit. I'm putting sub basses on everything, bro. Heavy kicks, sub basses. Like, we got the bass knocking. This shit is gonna fuck your truck up. So feedback can definitely help you as well. And listen, I could tell you stories 8 years after that to where I was still learning shit, bro. And even to this day, I'm still intrigued by this shit so much. I do not know everything, bro. I know a lot, but there are high levels of knowledge, especially when you talk music theory and stuff, that I don't know, that I haven't scratched the surface on yet. And most people may think it's not necessary. And if you're just making trap beats, it's not really necessary, but it's stuff that I want to know. So with that being said, lower your expectations, be focused on learning, learn to have fun with this shit, get feedback. Take the feedback well. Don't let it discourage you. Just make the adjustments and stuff like that. But most importantly, comparison is the thief of joy. Do not compare yourself to people who have put in way more hours and way more time than you. Just admire them. Aspire to be like them. So now we're going to talk about the quitting point and if you were actually contemplating quitting. Now, the first thing, if you hear everything else that I said, you shouldn't really be contemplating quitting without giving yourself a few years. But I'm going to tell you a brief, undetailed story of why I quit selling beats online. I have a video about that. You should check it out as far as the details of why I don't really fuck with selling beats online. And I talk about some of my journey on that. But making beats is one thing. Selling beats is another thing. The motive for me selling beats was to get money. Long story short, I came in with low expectations. I just want to make a few dollars. By the end of me selling beats for at least 5 years, the expectation that I had was I wanted to make, somewhere in the ballpark of 100,000, if not 300,000. I got nowhere near that. Not only did I not get anywhere near that, I was very stagnant as far as sales for a long time. And what made it frustrating is that I was seeking out all types of people who were either selling courses, selling mentorship, or just giving game, all paid. Everybody that I spoke to, I paid them money to try and get the game. And it still did not work out. So after years of stagnation and cognitive dissonance, because I came in the first 5 years believing in myself, building and stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera. But by the last 5 years, I was contemplating quitting. But the sweat equity that I put into it is really what kept me from doing it. Plus, I believed that it was possible for me to really achieve great things and stuff like that in that arena. But the issue is I couldn't meet the expectations that I had, and they were high expectations. And once I sat down and had a real conversation with myself, it actually took something like 3 real conversations for me to actually get to the quitting point. And even after that, when I considered trying to come back and do the shit, it took about 2 more real conversations for me to actually not come back to selling beats. So I just wanted to illustrate that briefly, because never has the thought of quitting making beats crossed my mind. But as far as selling, that had to stop. And the reason it had to stop is because the expectations that I had were not met over a course of time, over a long period of time. So the first thing I'm going to say is what you have to do when you were doing this beat making shit. I already went over fun and all of that stuff. You have to believe in yourself and the ability to get better. And this is the thing. I believe in you. The reason I believe in you is because I've helped so many people get better with making beats. I get comments every day on my old videos about how I'm the best teacher and, oh man, you changed my life. Oh, you helped me get placements, et cetera, et cetera. So I know it's possible for a lot of people to get better, because I've impacted a lot of people and they've told me that they've gotten better. And even then, I know outside of that, just me watching some other people's shit helped me get better. But that's the first thing. You really need to believe in yourself, and you really need to give yourself time, and quitting shouldn't even be anything that crosses your mind for like the first couple years at least 2 years. If you really want to try and get better with this, if you really like what you're doing, give it 2 years. Now, let's say you get to a point where you feel like your expectations are met. The next question you have to ask is, how much did you actually invest in getting better? Were you actually buying some of the better VSTs and better sounds? Have you bought any courses from anybody that you like their beats and you like how they do things, and they got a course out and they're telling you how to make better beats and you like how theirs sound? Have you actually invested in any of those courses? How much time have you spent on YouTube? Because I don't have a course, but as far as a lot of people, they've been begging for a course, and I've changed a lot of people's lives when it comes to making beats for free, for nothing. It costs them nothing. Even outside of that, maybe you need a more hands-on approach. Have you done a one-on-one consultation with anybody? In real life, I've helped a lot of people, a lot of producers, a lot of rappers. I've helped so many in real life in my area. Outside of that, on the internet, I've done a few paid consultations. It's not a service that I've really advertised, but when people reach out, if I'm capable, I will accept the request. But even if you just forget about me, there are other people who will do one-on-one consultations that are veterans. They'll get on Zoom, they'll do the clicking, all that stuff. So that's the question you got to ask yourself before you even get to having a real conversation. You have to ask, how much have I actually invested as far as time and money? I'm telling you, it's going to take some money. You're going to have to buy some VSTs unless you pirate and everything. But how much time and money have you invested into getting better? Now, I want you to understand as we move forward, because I didn't state this in this part of the video yet, but we're going with the motive, the foundational motive of you making beats, being that you want to make beats for a rapper, your rapper friends, or for you to rap over, or beats that other people like or that you like, whatever the case may be. That's what we're going with. The expectations is you want to make music that you and other people can enjoy. So that is the expectation. If you have a different expectation than that, apply the things that I mentioned already. You know, how many years have you put in trying to believing in yourself, trying to reach this expectation, but also how much have you invested trying to reach this expectation? So if you look at both of those and the answer is significant, that is when you have to sit down. If you have expectations in your head, if you want to get results and you were nowhere near getting the results that you want to get, you need to sit down and have a real conversation with yourself and then go back to a couple things. Number one, why are you doing this? The second thing is, why do you think you have not reached any of the expectations that you have? Or why do you think you haven't even come close? And the last question is, if you don't do this, what else are you going to do? What will the next move be? Do you have any idea what direction you're going to go in if you decide to stop doing this? And with those questions, those shouldn't be questions to where you just give one answer and that's it. You should really dig deep and really give as many answers as you can to those questions. And even asking those questions and answering that may lead to other questions, but you got to sit down and have a real conversation with yourself. When it came to selling beats online, I was brainwashed into thinking I could be successful. So there was a real cognitive dissonance with me not being successful and thinking I should quit versus if I just keep going, I'll get there. I wasn't going to get there, dog. People love the beats and I got the placements, but when it came to the marketing, it just was not working. And the sales wasn't nowhere near where I needed them to be. So with that being said, if you look at what you got going on and you had that conversation with yourself and you nowhere near where you want to be and you dig deep, you're going to find some answers and that's going to determine how you move forward from there. But my advice, if you the people who've been making beats for 6 months or anything like that, this doesn't even apply to you. You should make it to at least 1.5 years, if not 3 years, before you consider quitting making beats and anything like. And even then, I already went over it. If you were having fun with this, if you really love this shit, I don't understand how you could want to quit or how it's something that could get you depressed. So there's something about the expectations that you really need to work on fixing instead of thinking about quitting for right now. And this is for people who've been doing this 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years. When you get to 2 years, around 2 years, like you got to reflect. What have you been doing? What have you been doing? And this is the thing. One thing I'm going to say before we finish this video, you got to be making, because I tell people this all the time as far as new dudes. Like there's certain things you got to do, like the basics. So you got to have your shit in key, et cetera, et cetera. But you have to be making a lot of beats. You have to. Kanye said he made 5 beats a day for 3 summers. And that's not unrealistic. That's not unrealistic. And this is the other thing. It shouldn't take you 1.5 hours, 2 hours to make a beat. There are producers like T-Minus. I'm pretty sure he said he takes that long. But the majority of people, you know, they make beats relatively quick. Castle make beats. I remember the producer of Breeze, Stretch, Shake, Let It Go by Diddy and Mace. He said he made that in like 5 to 20 minutes. There's a sample maker. I think his name was Palace or something like that. One of the cats that y'all just love. Y'all know how y'all love the sample makers and stuff. But he said something along the lines some years ago, like, yo, like, I'm not, if I can't get the sample done in like, 20, 30 minutes, if it's not working in 20, 30 minutes, I'm moving on to the next idea because this isn't it. So you should be making a lot of work because when you get the reps in, that is how you get better. We could sit here and we could tutorial you to death and you got to apply that shit and you got to apply it on a daily basis and you got to explore your own creativity. And you're not going to do that by making 1 beat a week, 3 beats a week. I'm not even mad at 1 beat a day. But really, when you sit there, and this is how I go for me, like how I used to go. I would sit down after work and I'm locked in. I'm locked in. Whenever I go to sit down and get at that computer, I'm locked in. I don't even have a set amount of beats, but I'm cooking. And almost every day I'm cooking. There might be a couple days where I have an idea drought or whatever the case may be. and I just don't feel like it, and I don't do it. But I'm doing it every week, and when I sit down, I'm never making just one beat. I'm never just making one beat. And I don't know if I said this in the video. A lot of every producer that you know makes ass beats. And I apologize if I said this, because I don't know if I said this in the video already. I'm coming back. This is a new day type shit. And I deleted a whole segment because this segment stretched the video out to like 30 something minutes. But let me just say this real quick. If a producer makes 100 beats in a year, he's going to have some beats that are ass. And I don't care who we are talking about. Any producer you look at, they're going to have beats that they think this is all right or this is not presentable. Oh, yeah, this one is never going to see the light of day. Nobody's going to hear this. Every single producer, bro. So with that being said, lower the bar of expectation for yourself as a beginner and just focus on learning and focus on having fun. Those two things, learning and having fun. If you got a topic you want me to talk about, let me know, man. Other than that, I'll catch you on another day, somehow, some way. I'm out.